Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to Star Technology. Today we'll be going over just very little that I've done between episodes and just show off the my sulfuric acid line that I put together here. The first of the, it's not a permanent setup for sure, but it is one of the first automations that I've done. We talked about it in the last episode, so I'm back up to about 30 buckets again, and I know I've already gone through 20 just to try and get a few things together for this episode, and just so that we could go through a couple things. This is a re-record, unfortunately. I made the where did they go? Where did they go? I don't even know. I made these LV circuits, the new ones here, with this recipe, and I was going to talk about the things that we need in there. So the new recipes for the LV tier circuits required these so CPU chips, capacitors, and transistors that we haven't seen before. So just go through these quick and easy. So in MV assembler, we're going to need some polyethylene. We're going to need some silicon plates and fine tin wire to make these. So silicon plates we made last episode. Fine tin wire is easy, just in the bender, right? No, the wire mill. And then the capacitors, very similar, only we're using aluminum foil and thin polyethylene sheets, which means we have to take our polyethylene sheets and put them through a bender, and then with more liquid polyethylene. So we're going to need tons of this stuff, which is why we need lots and lots of sulfuric acid, right, to get our polyethylene supplies up there. And then the last but not least was the CPU chip. This is similar to the other chips that we've made, just with the wafers, which in this case is done with the light blue lens, and this is made with a diamond sheet plate, I guess it's called, which we made in the last episode again for doing the AE2 circuits. So we already had some of those lying around, so that was pretty easy there to get all of that stuff together. Now the next tier up for our last MV tier circuit, you'll notice this does not require the LV tier. So this is the first time that's come up where we don't need the LV tier to make the MV tier. But, and all the same stuff in there, just fine red alloy wire to make the MV tier. And then to go up to the HV tier ones, we did need this other new thing, which is an inductor. And this is, again, in the assembler, more polyethylene, and then steel rings and copper wire. And then, of course, if we have the annealed stuff, we get double the outputs. And then we would get even more outputs, but that's for later on because I don't have access to the nickel zinc ferrite just yet. Actually, do I have access to this stuff? I don't even know how to make it, to be honest with you. Ferrite mixture dust. Oh, I guess we could make this if I really was paying attention, but I got into the rabbit hole of it and didn't bother looking too hard because we had steel rings kicking around that I could make for those inductors. Then the next step after getting the new HV tier circuits is moving on to EV tier circuits. Again, all the same stuff there, some electrum wire, diodes, and then the blue alloy bolts. which actually wasn't too bad. We just needed this electrotine dust, which was redstone and electrum. And then we take that and we put it together with some silver, and then we get the blue alloy, smelt it up, put it through the oh god, lathe, and then take the rods from the lathe and put it into the cutter, and we get lots and lots of bolts out of there at the end of the day. So we ended up with a 32 bolts from like one craft of this electrotine. No, not one craft. I think I needed to make 12 electrotine. So I did 4 crafts of the blue alloy to get 32 bolts. Now the tricky part about the EV circuit here is we need another multi-block. That multi-block is a clean room. So we have to put the next assembler. So this can actually be done in an MV assembler, but we're not going to bother putting an MV assembler inside the clean room. We're just going to go straight up to an HV assembler, because the next step after EV circuits are IV circuits, which do require the HV assembler, circuit assembler. So we may as well go straight there and not worry about doing an MV one. And we'll just keep this one here for doing a lot of these intermediate ones, and then we'll just have a separate clean room for doing all of the higher tier stuff. Now I guess the other thing about the clean room is it's a multi-block inside which we will eventually be putting multi-blocks. But if we just take a look at the recipe for it here quickly, it's just a bunch of HV tier stuff. So stainless steel rotors, which have a crafting recipe, or if we can melt it down, which does require an MV extractor, which I have already, so that won't be hard. Just melt it down and put it through the solidifier with the mold, and we get the stainless steel rotors. The HV electric motors are getting some new materials as well, so stainless steel rods. We're going to need silver cable, and 2x silver cable at that, and then 2x electrum wires just to make these HV electric motors. So it's getting a little bit more expensive, and we're starting to need more and more silver and gold up here. So silver is something that I'm a little bit low on, so we'll have to keep on processing things to get that, because you know we're really going to go through the silver between the silver wire and the electrum there. And a couple of these item filters, which is just zinc foil and a steel plate. We've made the liquid filters before. The only difference is it's a steel plate in the middle instead of a lapis plate. Nothing too tricky there. Just the hard part about doing the clean room is because this is a multi-block that we're going to be putting multi-blocks inside of, we're probably going to want to do it larger than the minimum size. So this minimum size says 5 by 5 by 5. We're probably going to want to go up to like a 10 by 10 by 5 or 10 by 10 by 7 if you wanted a little bit more reasonable. So it's going to take a lot more blocks, because this 75 is in reference to this 5 by 5 by 5. So we're going to need lots and lots and lots of this plascrete stuff. And this is going to be very intensive again on more polyethylene. So just probably going to be best to make a whole extend my line out from just the sulfuric acid and go straight into making the polyethylene directly, because of how much we're going to need moving forward, which is a thing. This is Greg Tech. This is what we signed up for. But a couple of the other notable things down here. So there's an HV diode and an energy hatch. So I'm not 100% sure what the diode is used for here, but it looks like there's 2 in this setup. I don't know why. And we can see one is coming through like a pass-through up there when we move it around a little bit. So maybe that's where we plug in. We need one energy coming in to power the clean room itself, the block that keeps the air inside clean. And then this diode, which we put here, then we can use that to power the machines that are inside, because this is a pass-through, if I'm reading it correctly. And then same with these fluid and item pass-through hatches. So those are for supplying the machines that are inside the clean room itself with the various materials that we have to make there. Maintenance hatch, energy hatches, this machine hull, which is strange. Maybe this is the machine, one of these is the machine hull. Like, it's weird, the machine hull is usually used to make a machine and not used in a multi-block itself, but I guess that is what it is. And then this filter casing. Which requires, oh boy, all kinds of high-tech stuff. Is this really the right one? Yeah, I guess so. This seems more reasonable. For the first stage clean room. Maybe there's a super clean room that comes along later. Or we need the sterilizing ones for higher tier recipes. And that's the glass for doing the little windows in the clean room. Oh. I'm going to bookmark both of those, but I can't see us actually needing a ZPM emitter at all for this craft, considering this is an LUV recipe. And titanium, yeah, I don't think I'm even going to look at those recipes. I think this is the filter casing that we need for our first clean room. But not 100% sure on that. Okay, yes, I almost forgot to say, when making all of these plastic printed circuit boards, there's a couple of different recipes, right? There's the recipe that used the sodium persulfate, which we showed off in the last episode, I think. This is probably bad to do because the sodium persulfate itself takes a bunch more of the sulfuric acid. But there is this recipe here which uses iron 3 chloride. Now the beautiful thing about using the iron 3 chloride for this recipe is that when making it, we're going to use some iron and some hydrochloric acid, which we get from making the polyethylene anyways, is that it gives us hydrogen gas back, which is one of the big things that we need for processing for making the sulfuric acid, is having a good supply of the hydrogen, right? So making the iron 3 chloride gives us that supply of hydrogen. As for the other major thing is we're going to need lots and lots of oxygen, which I've been processing my magnetite dust. I haven't really processed any of this before. I never turned any of this straight into iron, and I'm really glad that I didn't, because we're now getting tons and tons of oxygen on the other side, which is needed for doing the recipe there. So I definitely suggest, if you're doing things my way here without having a dedicated straight setup for this stuff, is that if you're doing it just with workstations and moving everything around by hand, is using this iron 3 chloride instead of the persulfate. But if you do have a dedicated system, maybe the persulfate is going to be the better material to use to produce in bulk anyways, because it will be used when we get into processing the new materials we're getting from the diamond mesh. So after we sift our diamond mesh and we get all of these fancy new resources here, to process these, they're going to need this, well, for the bulk processing, I think we're going to need, sodium persulfate here to be able to put these through our KOF. So depending on which way you do it, which way you are processing all of your things, you might want to have your bulk amounts of persulfate for doing a bunch of different things, right? Have some of it going into your KOF, have some of it hanging around for doing your plastic sheets, your plastic circuit boards. But this does, again, take a lot of persulfate for each one of these circuit boards, of which you need lots and lots of, because you need a circuit board to make the MV one, then you need another one again to make the MV one, then you need another one again to make the EV one. And then I forgot to look at the IV circuit. Yeah, it does not need another plastic printed circuit board, thankfully, but by the time we get here, we're investing, 3 of those guys into every circuit that you want to make for those mid-tier GregTech machines, right? I think I've touched on just about everything I wanted to in this episode. I know from this point moving forward, the daily uploads are going to stop because I am recording this the day before release. And when I originally started this series, I had 7 episodes in the bag even before I started publishing the episodes here on YouTube. So in 14 episodes, it's taken me, it's taken me 3 weeks to get here to produce 2 weeks of content. And we're already caught right up. Like, I don't play Minecraft every day, so, but I'm by no means that guy that plays, 10 to 12 hours of Minecraft just so I can produce the episodes on a daily basis. I'm sort of record a bunch of episodes ahead and then keep playing, 2-3 hours a day, some days 0. And then, hopefully we can keep up far enough. But obviously, this being my first real GregTech pack, it's caught up to me in the end. So the daily uploads will stop from here moving forward. And then we'll probably take a hiatus on Minecraft because I will be playing in the Path of Exile 2 beta release when it comes out here at the end of the week. So I'm super excited for that. Been really hyped up since they did the release trailer or the release thing a few days ago. So for those of you who have been watching my episode, I appreciate you all. It really has been fun learning the GregTech up to this point, especially in the Skyblock form where you don't have to go running around a world with your ore detector and then figuring out that the ores you were looking for were the wrong ones in the wrong veins, or you passed over it 10 different times and you didn't mark it properly the first time around. Yeah. Just wanted to say, special thank you to all of you who have been sticking around so far. And hopefully when I come back, we'll pick up where I left off. But I know that there is an update for the pack coming soon that involves not doing any create at all. So maybe we'll restart this pack without create, or I'll pick it back up here because it's been a lot of work to get this far, right? And I really like how, it's not super efficient. I guess maybe it's efficient, but it's not ideal because I'm not overproducing a lot of stuff, which is kind of the name of the game for doing GregTech, right? Oh, I jumped the wrong way there for a second. But at any rate, I guess I could talk about one last thing is improving on our power source here. So this power source can barely keep up with my one EBF that I've got up there. In fact, it loses a little bit when the EBF is running constantly. So that's a thing that I do have to fix. And I was reading in the Discord that people do their setups with boilers instead of the lapidary dynamos. Now, there is no recipe to do the boiler itself. And what happens with the boilers is you burn the gems to make steam instead of energy directly, but then you feed that steam into a steam dynamo, and this is what makes the power. Now, I don't know how that helps with the efficiency, but apparently it does because that's what most people suggest and recommend. But the way to change your lapidary dynamo into a boiler is to use this item on it, because there's no crafting recipe directly, obviously. You just make one of these steam pipes and you shift use on a dynamo and it will turn it into a boiler, and then you get back a dynamo piece, which I'm guessing is the is it flux coil? Is that what it is? Redstone flux coil. I imagine you get this piece back from it. I've never done it myself through all of my modded playthroughs. I've played with thermal quite a bit and I've never made the boilers, so that's why I don't really know about it that much. But apparently, yeah, you have the boilers feeding your dynamos. The dynamos make the power. Maybe you just get more efficiency because you have more upgrades going, like you have more of these things available to use along the way, which just increases your scaling factor at each step. So if you add an extra step in there, you get an extra 16x scaling. Not 100% sure. But I think that was the last thing that I wanted to talk about here. Still working off the create stuff, but maybe when we come back to the pack, we'll do it without create. And that seems to make a lot of people happy because create, I guess, is cumbersome for people, but I don't know. I'm just a lonely little no-faced goblin here. So anyways, that's it for this episode. There may be one episode more, but I can't foresee myself doing it because of the massive grind that I have ahead to make the clean room, update my power source here, make a couple of the HV machines, right, and get those going. There's a small upgrade we can do for the sifters with this here. We could do another massive upgrade with the HV. So we're getting, multiplying our power sources by another 4x if we do these HV upgrades for our thermal stuff. But yeah, there's a big, huge grind ahead here to get to the EV, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to get all of that done in the little bit of time I have left before Path of Exile comes out. But I will be doing some content for Path of Exile. It might be more live stream based. Not 100% sure on that yet, but I'm not super good at Path of Exile like I am with Minecraft. I'm not super good at Minecraft by any stretch, but I do like to think myself as a decent teacher, and I hope you all have found that as well. But anyways, that is enough rambling from me. I appreciate you all for checking out this episode and the series, and I will see you all in the future, whether near or far. Bye!